Earl scoops up another spoonful of tapioca pudding, the remnants of the other empty cups he'd gone through sitting on the counter next to him. I've only managed to get halfway through mine, it feeling pretty messed up to be eating a dead guy's food. In my free hand, I'm fidgeting with the pink walkie-talkie thing from Heather's room. I'm not entirely sure why I picked it up, and when Leo gives me a look, I shove it back into my pocket. Carl vomited after we got him into the kitchen. Twice. So I guess it's good that at least he is doing a little better. He cried for 15 minutes straight while our wounds were tended to. TJ seems to have mainly snapped out of whatever funk he was in earlier, beyond an occasional strange look toward Flynn. His knowledge of sports medicine actually came in handy when patching everyone up with what we could find on hand. Fortunately, Heather's dad was not short on painkillers. Don't give me any of that fentanyl shit. Are you sure? Those cuts look pretty painful, and it'd be a long ride back to Peyton. TJ inspects the prescription bottle. Curiously enough, the pharmacy label has Brian's name on it. I've lost too many friends in Pueblo to the stuff. You went to Pueblo? Jenna chimes in from across the hall, watching out the kitchen window. Well, I wasn't exactly enrolled at PU. I bummed around the outskirts. I'm surprised you never ran into any of us there. We most likely didn't frequent the same spots. Unless you really like tattoo parlors and ska. I love ska. Shut up, Toby. It's TJ now. I gassed up my truck with a few of the gas cans laying out by the carport. It's got a full tank, so we don't gotta risk stopping at the gas station by the Flint turnoff. We load up, gun it, and we should be in Peyton just before daybreak. Sounds like a good plan. Does it? I clutch my forehead, the voice from earlier ringing between my ears. After everything had settled down, I honestly hadn't expected to hear it again. Any sign of Heather? No. Last I saw, she was heading northbound on the 65. She frowns in thought. North? Fucking beats me. There's not much going on to the north. There's no real exit back to the main interstate system. Just the old military area. Lots of country roads that lead nowhere. And the dam. The dam. Oh, fuck. All eyes shift to me. She's heading toward the dam. Her dad works there. Worked there. No one has opened the closet since Micah shut it. And? Flynn grunts, dangling his repeater from his fingertips. She took that folder with her when she left, the one about the dam operating procedures. Really? I didn't get a clear look at what she was holding. Yeah, I'm telling the truth here. I believe you. Flynn squints his eyes some. Are you saying Heather is going to fuck with the dam? I mean, what else could she be doing? We all heard her speech, right? Yeah, she was screaming it. That bitch can barely operate a doorknob. You think she can figure out how to open a floodgate of that size? Micah pulls out a beer from the fridge, sipping on it gingerly before speaking. I'm pretty sure I remember her dad brought her up there to work a lot when we were growing up. She hated it. He disappears back into the kitchen. For someone who has experienced the things we have this evening, he seems oddly composed. It makes me wonder what kind of shit he'd seen before all this. I think back to some of my preliminary research I did for my project. And by preliminary research, I mean looking at the county website's historical section for 30 minutes. One of the things that jumped out at me was how big Lake Emma used to be, over twice the size it is now. Most of the lakes in this part of the state are man-made, but this one is natural, ancient. The settlers just shrank it down, siphoning away water for the iceberg lettuce and cotton fields to the east, past the mountains. All right, let's load up, everyone. Leo changes the topic, him and Flynn heading to the door. Wait. Jenna steps over beside me, seemingly in deep thought before regarding everyone else. So, we know what Heather's plan is. And you all still intend to leave?
Yes.
Leo responds promptly.
No way she can manage what she's planning. We got to get Carl and the rest of you lot some medical attention.
You sure about that? She's got our dad's keys, the codes, the guidebook, and presumably she's got a pretty keen knowledge of how all this shit works already. I mean, shit. I want to get out of here, but the poor fuckers who are still here better know how to swim.
You think Echo would flood?
Micah shrugs. Jenna presses her fingertips to her forehead, exhaling. I truly hate to say it, but we should go after her.
What? No way. Absolutely the fuck not. There ain't no goddamn way you're making me drive the opposite direction of ending this whole nightmare of an evening.
Jenna turns, giving him a look.
Fuck you.
Jenna smiles tiredly up at the big Gila. I knew you had some common sense in there somewhere, and maybe even a heart.
I get stuck here because I'm the only fucker who knows how to shoot, and someone needs to watch your asses.
He pauses.
Also, I just know my aunt would kill me if I let this shit go down.
Her being the mayor and all?
Yeah. Since when did you suddenly start giving a shit about Echo Townies?
The question is clearly directed at Jenna, the lizard grunting in her direction. Jenna shifts in her seat, having to straddle in between Lynn. His truck isn't very big, and none of us particularly wanted to ride in the back. Besides TJ, of course, who always seemed to enjoy being in the truck bed. Fortunately, I managed to call shotgun, which may not have been the wisest of things to shout when everyone was on edge, but too late now. I don't know, she says, all matter-of-factly. This evokes a raised brow from the lizard. I just thought about myself, leaving everything behind like that, knowing what might happen. And I didn't want to be that person. Glenn blinks, wondering if this is truly Jenna he's talking to right now.
Fuck. College does make you a bleeding heart, doesn't it? Leo wasn't kidding.
He sighs, the highway stretching on in front of us for miles and miles. Jenna turns to me, giving me an appraising look before speaking. Thank you for coming, Chase. I know you didn't have to, but it means a lot. Oh, yeah, no problem. Every inch of my body longs to be heading homeward, driving back to Peyton, to freedom. But here I am. At least Jenna's here. Despite everything that's happened. Brian's attack, the hallucinations, the kidnapping, the haunted van, the voice in my head, Heather's house, and the town going nuts. Everyone is silent as our headlights shine down the long stretch of Route 65 ahead. Maybe we're just exhausted. Physically, emotionally, spiritually? I exhale and rest my forehead against a cool window, watching the town's lights blur past. Soon the lights stop and are replaced by darkness, shadows of shapes barely visible through the condensation-tinged glass. We never go this way. No one does. We're getting close to Echo Canyon. The bumps and hills of Echo being replaced by vast open desert, contrasted by the sheer cliff face of the western mesa. There's not much out here but land owned by the feds, most notably the dam and the old proving grounds. I remember there used to be a checkpoint booth up ahead, but it hasn't been manned in decades. It's here. You can see the lake most clearly. All of it. It seems smaller than I remember. Yet, there's still that tightness in my gut and the urge to look away. So I do. I keep my eyes fixed on the space between my feet. Flynn's camouflage patterned floor mat, oddly captivating. It's then I notice a blinking green light shining through my left pocket. Instinctively, I think it's my phone and reach for it. But then I remember as I pull it out. It's the pink walkie-talkie baby monitor thing from earlier. I run my thumb over the surface of it, feeling the worn, chipped plastic. It looks like there might even be little teeth marks on the side, like a small child gnawed on it at some point. I remember being like that, thinking everything colorful must be some edible dessert, waiting to be bitten into. I press my thumb against what I think is the talk button, but any labels on this have long worn off. Bring the device up a little, I open my mouth, as if to speak, but stop short of actually saying anything. I realize I don't want to freak the others out right now. Seeing the lake again, I look back down. Hello, good sir? I freeze. Hello? Flynn looks over at me. Jenna stares ahead. Hello, good sir? That same voice, crackling and old, spoken in the same cadence as before. I glance over and Flynn's gone back to focusing on driving with Jenna still looking at the road blankly. No one's reacting to this thing going off. Hello, good sir. Is there a voice coming from this old toy? I stare at the flashing green light and am reminded of the van from earlier. That voice felt much more vivid, alive, real sound. This one is like I'm remembering a sound, but I've never heard this voice before. And how are you? Huh? And how are you? Repeats. It's distorted, but it sounds like a woman's voice. I've been better, that's for sure. Sorry to hear that. Oh. I guess I can read my thoughts? That's comforting. Things will get better soon. I start to consider sliding the walkie-talkie back into my pocket. Nothing this thing is saying can be doing me any good right now. Especially noting that I'm the only one hearing it. Just more hallucinations. Crazy swamp gas tulpa bullshit. Doesn't seem to be saying anything now. Minutes pass. The minutes pass and I begin to relax some. I look past the device in my paw, the night sky reflected upon the surface of the lake, a streak of white light where the moon is. Not your fault. The voice comes through a little clear. What do you mean? Not your fault. Intentions. Here. The words start coming out even choppier, as if hastily clipped from an audio file. It was a loving act, and one cannot fault themselves for a loving act. What are you talking about? I wish we could talk. More, but you have places to be. Places to be. The road begins taking us into the canyon proper, and the light on the walkie-talkie flicks off. I've never actually been here before. I mutter.
Fascinating. Keep your fucking voice down. I see her car up by the service building.
The building itself isn't too large. Only about 500 square feet, with windows on all sides. We creep forward, Flynn with rifle and grasp. Micah, Carl, TJ, and Leo are hunkered down behind the truck, out of the line of fire. Leo had been pretty insistent on going with us to approach, but both Jenna and Micah agreed that would probably be a bad idea. Unsurprisingly, we're the only vehicles parked out here. All right, Jenna whispers, wiggling her paws out on either side of her, as if to shake the nerves out. I'm going to announce myself and approach. Lynn, please just keep line of sight. Maybe she won't be as crazy out here? You know, on account of it being, less hummy or whatever? Lynn looks utterly goddamn perplexed at whatever I'm talking about. Honestly, I don't fully understand it myself, but its effects were pretty damn evident earlier. Well, that's a theory. It's all Jenna says, giving my waist a gentle pat, to which I frown.
Hey, I need to set up.
Flynn eyes an outcropping along the side of the canyon edge next to us, pointing to it. The slope isn't too steep to climb, and the bushes and rocks act as natural cover for a vantage point.
I'll be up there. If you need me to shoot, just make the Charlie horse symbol behind your back or something.
The Charlie horse symbol? I ask. Flynn rolls his eyes, then moves his hand down to his thigh and makes the OK gesture with his fingers, but turned upside down. I recognize it instantly, moments before Flynn strikes my thigh with his knuckles. Ah! Jenna quickly shoves her paw over my muzzle, shooting a glare at Flynn. Flynn! Unacceptable! Flynn appears unapologetic, checking the lever on his repeater.
Okay, I'm heading up.
Jenna lets out a little puff of air, her tail still behind her. Flynn turns, glancing back at her.
I got your back.
She gives the Gila a grateful nod. Thank you, Flynn. There's a pause, and she speaks again. I'm glad you've cooled down since your outburst at the river. I know how much you wanted to talk. There's a strange timing to Jenna's words, a finality to them. It's as if she's getting words unsaid out in the open before facing the danger that awaits us. I think Flynn recognizes this and he stops.
Sid's dead. You two ain't yet. Let's keep it that way.
Jenna and I stand there for a moment. Wow, I mutter. I can tell it's an oversimplification of Flynn's feelings on the matter, but right now, that particular spat can wait. The others are starting to peek their heads out from behind the truck, wondering what we're doing. Not too late to back out, you know? Come on, Chase. Of course, I do appreciate the sentiment. I could always just take Carl's advice, though. He spoke to you? He was zonked out in the trunk bed last I saw. She nods, lowering herself to a crouched position. I do the same with a grimace. He mumbled, "Suplexer." I let out an amused exhale through my nose, untangling my tail from a bush I'm pushing through. Oh, Carl. Good to have him back. As we approach, I can see the front door to the service building is open, light spewing out from the inside. We're far enough away that our truck isn't really visible. We prop ourselves up on either side of the door. Sniffling and distraught mumbling can be heard from inside, including the rapid flipping of pages and clicking noises from a computer terminal. Hey, Heather? The noises stop. Oh boy. Jenna looks over at me, lowering her voice. Chase, you may want to get back. What? No, I'm not leaving you. Jenna? You followed me? Here we go again. Jenna comes out from her cover, and I peek in as well. Inside, a computer with a bunch of monitors hooked up on the wall is turned on. One of those monitors has a window open called Floodgate Control. Maybe she knew what she was doing after all? Chase? I grimace, trying to quickly shift into a smile. I can practically feel the cringe from Jenna beside me. I don't know why I said hello like that. Long night. I clear my throat. We wanted to make sure you were okay, and maybe see if you wanted to maybe reconsider your course of action? Heather reaches over toward the desk, and next thing I know, she has her pistol trained on us. We quickly duck back behind the wall. You two can't stop me. I know this is what I have to do. I saw the future and like a dream? A waking dream? Everything worked out. Everything was underwater. There was peace. This has to be done. This has to be done. Her eyes flicked to the murky black water at the foot of the dam. There was quiet. It was a dream. But it wasn't a dream. You know what I mean? Jenna watches Heather, keeping close appraisal of her twitchy hand upon that revolver. Yeah, I do. Jenna responds flatly. I think we all do at this point, at least somewhat. I can see Flynn up on the rock ledge, moonlight glinting off the metal barrel of his repeater. He's looking at us with a curious expression. Then, you understand? You don't, do you? The question must have been rhetorical, because she answers it before we can. I knew it! I should have stopped you when you broke into my house! You're bad, just like the rest of them. She raises the gun. There's the pitter-patter of small feet behind me, and the next thing I know, Micah's right at my side. One of his paws is on the small of my back, the other outstretched in front of us. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Wait a second! Heather's tear-filled eyes shift to the bat. You again? God, why are you all here? Hear me the fuck out! No! You hear me out, idiots! Keith was like an umbrella. All the bad stuff just bounced off when he was around. After Keith left, everything went to crap and you know it. Everyone started getting weird or leaving. You left, so you never saw how it got bad. You didn't have to watch it happen. You were all such good friends, and it's like I'm watching everyone dying. I feel like I'm dying, Micah. Everything hurts, and I can't think well anymore. Daddy. She takes in a sharp inhale in between her fangs, sputtering a bubble of spit before catching her breath. I just need to make it all go away. Then everything will be fine. I'm gonna move somewhere happy. You can move and be happy right the fuck now. Nothing is stopping you. Micah spits back. This is just the hum talking. You and I know how this shit goes. It'll pass, and you'll feel better. We'll all feel better. No! She screams, and Micah quickly ducks behind the edge of the doorway as she brings up her revolver. I do the same, though for a second I think I see a flash of color behind her that wasn't there before. I peek past the edge of the concrete wall long enough to realize what it is. Jenna sees it too. That same tall, burned figure from Brian's trailer. It looms in the back of the room, staring at us, waiting. It's almost like a statue, unmoving beyond little twitches where it suddenly shifted in position. It's unstable. Or at least that's the best way I can describe it. Jenna? I see it. Heather's ranting about something, but I can't really focus. It's getting closer, another foot nearer to Heather. What the shit? Jenna steps out from behind the wall suddenly, holding up the palms of her paws. Wait! Astonishingly, both Heather and the thing stop, though it's still very much there, looming in the background. It's as if the world itself is distorting around it. 3 holes pierce its face where the eyes and mouth should be. I look back up toward where Flynn is at. He definitely should be able to see this thing, and I half expect to shot the ring out at any moment. When I glance back, the thing isn't looking at Heather anymore. Its dark holes are aimed toward the hill outside the door, where Flynn is. Heather stands wide-stanced, her finger an inch from the trigger. Heather, when I was growing up, I was very fortunate. It's not something I truly realized until relatively recently. Despite my circumstances at home, I truly had some incredible people and other things. Jenna's eyes briefly flick up to the figure, looking out for me. The figure's head tilts ever so slightly. Brian is dead. Your father, he's certainly fucking dead. There's some zeal to Jenna's words, and it becomes rather evident she thinks this is a good thing. And they can't hurt you anymore. A thick tear streaks down Heather's cheeks as Jenna takes a step closer, pointing outside to the south. Back in town, there are still people who genuinely care about you. The ones who have stuck with you throughout all of this. Jeremy, he's a complete turd. and I'd give him a piece of my mind if I saw him. But he genuinely likes you. Same with Clint. But Clint talks about all the things we used to do to you guys growing up, all the things that were said. Why are you saying they're good? What we do as children does not have to define us as adults. Heather, I don't honestly believe you want to hurt your friends. Heather shudders, hugging herself. I'd honestly be tempted to rush for her gun if that thing weren't still standing behind her, watching Jenna speak. Heather sobs, her thin wrists trembling as if the weight of the pistol in her paws had burdened her for too long. Finally, they droop, the gun limply hitting the floor. I flinch, though thankfully it doesn't go off. The red entity lingers so close to Heather it's practically touching her. Then, as if a great silent wind sucks it backward, its body contorting to the pool, a strip of its flesh disappearing into the void. And then it vanishes, fading into nothing. I rub my eyes. It's gone. I can hear Jenna shudder beside me, before stepping up and taking the guide and keys and tossing them promptly into the water below. Micah picks up the gun, flicking open the chamber and spinning it with his thumb. Out of bullets. Fucking hell. Glenn skids down the hill, nearly tripping as he hustles over.
You mad fucking tit-dirts actually did it.
Micah and Jenna are staring at the spot where the monster was moments ago. Glenn, despite having us in his sights the whole time, seems oblivious.
You should get the key to the city or some shit. Though, that probably only unlocks an outhouse or something.
Micah walks past him, letting out a string of unintelligible expletives and shaking his head. The sun begins to rise past the mountains to the east, the sky starting to become illuminated with purple and amber hues. In the distance, you can just barely make out one of the Mormon settlements down the river, on the edge of the reservation. I rest my head against the side of the truck, mentally exhausted beyond words. I try to think of the entity, but it's like trying to remember a dream. A fading horror that seemed so real at the time, but surely couldn't be. There's a soft thud beside me, and I soon realize it's Leo's butt. The wolf holding his concussed head in both paws as he rests beside me. Oh, Alter, is it head out, Alter? TJ and Carl approach, the ram shivering and the lynx gently rubbing his back. Oh, we're going? He helps the ram up into the back. I mean, in a bit, I guess? Jenna and Micah are talking to Heather. Flynn wanders over, throwing the rifle in the back before leaning his rump up against the tire. In the past, when shit got tough, the lizard would always run off to deal with things on his own terms. Yet here he is, slumped and exhausted like the rest of us. Finally, Jenna joins us. I give her a little thumbs up as I pass. She returns the gesture before sitting down as well. She props her chin up in her paws, her fluffy tail perked up to avoid getting smushed in the dirt. We sit in relative silence beyond the faint sound of crickets and gentle lapping water. You know, I'm gonna miss this place. Jenna glances over, frowning some. You know I was joking, right? I expected some laughter there. I think you're pretty funny, Jenna, I respond tiredly. Micah, seemingly out of nowhere, comes up and props his elbow on the hood. Shut up, Chase. Now, are we fucking off or what? I dab my napkin in TJ's glass of water, wiping off the sticky syrup stain on my seat before sitting down. The Lynx gives me a little look before taking a sip from his glass.
About time. Here they come.
Lynn's peering out the window toward the sheriff's office across the street. Sure enough, our trio of friends exit through the glass double doors, checking for traffic before crossing over to us. A few reporters from the parking lot spot them and try to get their attention, but Leo ushers them forward. He mutters something and Micah laughs, glancing over his shoulder. Jenna just shakes her head, clearly annoyed but relieved nonetheless. A few more squad cars roll out, honking at the news van to get out of the way before heading down in the direction of Echo.
The police were sure busy in there. Yeah, and no wonder. They're all gonna be in deep shit for their lack of response to all this. What was it? 14 hours before they even sent out a squad car to investigate the blackout?
Well, the detective I talked to claimed they sent them out earlier, but there was some kind of traffic trouble. They couldn't get to us.
Oh yeah, traffic trouble. That sure is a fucking valid excuse to ignore a whole town suddenly losing its internet and telephone communications.
Flynn grunts, Tequila looking over toward the quiet Ram at his side. He's still wearing his dirty tank top, though the EMTs bandaged up the cuts on his arms and fetlocks. Fortunately, Leo's dad called and said that he's gonna pick up a fresh pair of clothes for him. He also stated that Leo, Flynn, and Carl could stay over at their house while the authorities sort everything out. Since they closed off the Flint Road access to Echo, no one can exactly go back for their stuff. Not that we were in any rush to go back, of course. The Ram stares at the checkerboard patterned tabletop, saying nothing. Flynn frowns, nudging the Ram with his shoulder.
Hey, fat ass. Why don't you take a look at the menu? I bet some chocolate chip waffles and ice cream sounds good right about now, eh?
The lizard smiles down at him as he slides over a menu. Carl looks up for a moment, then sluggishly flips it open.
I think they serve your parents' brand of ice cream here.
TJ forces a smile, which is a strange sight in and of itself. A happy face usually comes so natural to the Lynx, but now he just looks frazzled. Understandable, really.
Something cold sounds good right about now. Fuck yeah, I bet.
The Ram flips to the next page, though I can see he's not really reading anything. His face starts to scrunch and he exhales through flared nostrils. He scrunches again and soon his gaze falters, his arms beginning to shake. Oh, damn. His eyes press shut and he lets out a nearly inaudible sob, tears rolling down his cheeks. Flynn reaches over and puts an arm around him, tugging him close.
Shh, it's okay.
He squeezes the Ram's shoulder. Carl sniffs, hiccuping once before letting his muzzle press into Flynn's chest. TJ looks away, his own eyes beginning to water again.
I'm gonna order you the banana split, big glass of lemonade.
He pauses.
And a salad for your health and shit.
The Lynx begins to quietly cry. though keeps his face hidden by a napkin. We must be making quite the scene for the other folks in here, but I rightly don't give too much of a damn. However, this is all making me realize that I sure could go for a hug right about now. Flynn, still holding the traumatized ram, looks at me across the booth with a soft frown. As the two non-weeping members of our group here, I guess there is some solidarity in that. Not that I feel particularly great or anything. I certainly feel a lot less numb than I did in Echo, though. Thinking about all that happened really freaks me out, so I've just been trying not to. At least right now.
Jace.
Yeah?
Thanks.
His tone of voice is so strange and sincere. I can't hide my look of surprise. No problem. Though I think we owe the most thanks to Jenna and Micah.
Yeah. I already talked to them at the station. Never would have thought that little shithead Bad would ever do anything that didn't serve himself.
Yeah. He's pretty cool, I guess. I kind of think you would get along with him. Flynn lets out a little grunt, running a hand up and down along the ram's arm.
Wouldn't push it that far. And guess we'll never know, 'cause I'm moving the fuck out quick like. My house is probably worth jack shit now. Even less than it was before, but I'll worry about money later.
TJ wipes his eyes, clearing his throat. Maybe you could start one of those online fundraiser things, since this is getting so much attention on the news. I'm sure there are plenty of people, like the folks at my church, who would be happy to donate to help you get on your feet.
Take charity from strangers?
Flynn looks out toward the news van outside. A particularly antsy-looking newswoman is currently getting chewed out by a police officer in SWAT gear. Though it looks like the news lady is grilling him right back, shoving a microphone in his face. I think that's what I want to be one day. A guy with a camera, chasing tragedies for profit. Maybe I should change my major. I glance back toward Flynn and Carl, the ram still visibly crying, but no longer racked by quaking sobs. For some reason I smile, if only for a moment. Or you could just marry the wealthy heir you helped save from abduction a couple hours ago. I'm sure that comes with some financial stability. PJ immediately stops crying, blinking at me, then Flynn across the table. Flynn's eyes go wide before he quickly furrows his brow.
Fuck you, Chase.
Despite everything, if the lizard could blush, I have a feeling he'd be doing so right now. Carl does seem to hug into him a little tighter. The balls on the front door jingle as they're pushed open, and I can see Leo peeking in, searching for us. Once he spots our booth, he gestures in our direction toward the others, and they make their way over. I swear, those fucking useless pigs were gonna keep me locked in there indefinitely till you vouched for me. Just 'cause they can't do their fucking job. They gotta find someone to pin all this bullshit on. Why not the kid with the record? They're still trying to figure out what exactly happened. And they won't, because it ain't the sort of thing that can be figured out, you know? Oh, yes, I know that now. Jenna closes her eyes for a moment, though they open again as she startles from Leo coming up behind her. He's about to speak when a particularly rotund alligator woman saunters up beside me. She's wearing a white polo shirt, jeans, and a blue Pancake House apron.
Well, hello
Hello there. You all got enough room here in the booth? She smiles, seemingly unfazed by the sorry state we all look to be in. I suppose when you work at a 24/7 diner in the middle of the desert, you see some oddball customers. TJ blinks, then mutters an apology as he scoops himself over, closer to Flynn. I do the same, and Jenna moves to sit beside me. Micah and Leo take the opposite side. We're in a long corner booth that actually has several mini tables, but with all of us together, we're shoulder to shoulder in here. We each tell the waitress what we want in no particular order. Micah practically blurts out what he wants. 2 hash browns, 6 house-style waffles, toast with strawberry jam, and a side of bacon. Meanwhile, I ask for a large iced tea with a bowl of vanilla ice cream. Jenna insists I get something healthy in my stomach, so she offers to split her turkey sandwich. I smile at her and accept, relaxing against the pleather backing of the booth's seat. Our server finally gets to Flynn and Carl, and both of them don't seem too focused on what she's saying. Flynn is staring at his phone, and Carl's leaning into him with a distant look in his eyes. TJ gingerly nudges the Gila, and Flynn quickly looks up at the alligator.
Oh, a banana split and a garden salad, please, with 2 lemonades. Pink. What? Pink lemonade.
Flynn looks at Carl like his last shred of masculinity can't possibly bear to utter those words aloud. Fortunately, the waitress writes down Carl's correction with that same unjudging smile. 2 pink lemonades.
Oh.
All right, if that's all, I'll be back with you folks in a bit. Carl lowers his noggin back into Flynn, while the Gila goes back to staring at his phone.
I can't get a hold of my aunt.
Mayor Aunt?
Yeah, my aunt who's the mayor.
Maybe she's tied up with the police, sorting stuff out? I offer reassuringly, picking up a sugar packet from the table and emptying it in my mouth like an absolute cretin.
Yeah, but you'd think she'd call me back.
Leo raises an eyebrow at me from across the table, taking a sugar packet for himself.
Hey, Walter. You should have heard Carl's dad falling over himself thanking Jenna over the phone. All the cops in there were calling her a hero, yeah?
Oh, quiet you. Hey, I'm sure I could have been just as smooth if I was the one up for talking Heather down. I look at Micah and can't tell if he's being serious or not.
Whatever you say, little buddy.
The wolf downs his sugar packet, smirking some. He and I used to swipe these from the diner all the time. Creamers, too. He'd always go for the aspartame or stevia-based ones, though. I can see Jenna giving us a curious glance before refocusing her attention on me. Anyway, the police were pretty happy with you, too. It takes me a second to realize what she's referring to, and I quickly wave a dismissive paw. Well, I'm sure I just gave them more work. That is their job, Chase. TJ, who has been relatively silent next to me, looks increasingly perplexed, his ears folded downward. With everything going on, I realized I hadn't told the rest of the gang about my discovery. For those not present, I found an old corpse on the side of the road from like the 70s. This gets Carl, Flynn, and TJ's attention. Found is putting it mildly. You picked a patch of dirt and started digging until you found the guy's body and wallet.
What?
I hold up my paws, shaking my head. I can't explain it. I can't explain a lot of things. The fact the body is so old means I'm not a suspect. At least. A weirdly sour feeling courses through my body, and I instinctively squeeze my tail beneath the table. But they ran the guy's name through the system. His disappearance was so long ago, they don't even have a record of it anymore. They did find living family, though, or at least a point of contact from what I heard. Jenna smiles. I'm sure whoever they are, they'll be grateful for what you did. After 4 decades? I'm not so sure. Maybe it would just dig up old wounds, raising more questions than answers. It's not like I told the police my dream about the van or anything, or who the original owner was. To think, Sydney's dad killed a guy. No wonder he ended up the way he did. There's a moment of silence, Micah staring impatiently at the kitchen and Flynn dialing up his aunt again. Jenna exhales, breaking the quiet. Regardless, I'm just glad you are all okay. Micah's fingers and neck are healing up nicely, and you two are finally separated. Jenna nods toward Leo and I. There's no way in hell that phrasing wasn't intentional. She has this self-confident smile on her face, though when neither of us respond, it diminishes. Leo just looks kind of distant. Not like before, of course, when he was all loopy post-beatdown, but like he's got a lot on his mind he hasn't really processed yet. I know exactly how he feels. Dick. Micah muses, idly tearing strips of his napkin off. Huh? Dick. That was a dick thing to say. Well, that's pretty rich coming from you. Micah's about to say something when Jenna cuts him off, speaking first. No. No. He's right. She brings her fingers to her temple for a moment, thinking before focusing on Leo and I, making sure to meet our gaze. Acting like we're all still in high school, teasing you two about your relationship. It's not appropriate. And ultimately, it's driven by jealousy. Leo blinks. Jenna. It's not something I'd like to admit, but a lot of what I do is driven by that. The need to experience things I wasn't afforded growing up. Micah looks up from his napkin evisceration, the edges of his mouth curled into a soft frown. Glenn glances over as well. A prank I orchestrated over 3 years ago led to this whole situation, picking at a raw nerve and leaving it to fester. My mind flashes to images of my smashed cell phone sitting on the pavement, Leo calling for me as I walk away. Do I think you two should be together? No. But is that any of my goddamn business? Also no. And for that, I apologize.
Oh.
Lynn speaks my mind.
We should go through more tragedies if it gets you to admit you're just as shitty as the rest of us for a change.
Lynn grunts. Jenna waves off Lynn's comment. But seriously, Leo, don't hump Chase at a children's arcade and then destroy it when you get caught.
You smashed up an arcade? I did. You know, I'm, kind of a rebel. A real badass.
Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, letting a moment of silence pass as he glances offward.
Nah, I'm a fucking idiot.
Leo seems to be purposefully avoiding Jenna and I's gaze. Hey, people did worse things under the effects of the hum.
Manifesting a tulpa of one's ex-boyfriend? It's a bit much, no?
Ex-boyfriend. I suppose that settles it, though I can feel how much it hurt for him to say that. He smiles regardless, of course. Well, if the tulpa's given good head, there's not much to complain about.
Seriously, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I can't help but chuckle, and a few others do too, including Leo. To describe any of this in any sort of way that does it justice seems utterly untenable.
Look, I reckon it's best if we put some time and a few beers in between this event and us before getting into the nitty-gritty details, yeah?
Oh, planning another Echo meetup already? I asked, trying to sound more lighthearted than I feel.
Fuck no, Arthur. We've got the internet if we want to talk.
My inbox is always open, though I think therapy may be the safer bet than beers. I could get you some hotter stuff. Jenna sighs. Like? She seems to regret the question the moment she says it. You ever had a foot-tall devil dog cake with strawberry, cherry, and raspberry filling? I know a guy off Santa Rita and Bullsby in Pueblo. Would take your mind off anything. I also can get you some heroin. Micah, for God's sake. I'm just kidding. Christ. The cake place closed years ago. We talked for a few more minutes, mainly riffing on what the hell we're all going to do after all this. The food arrives before Jenna and I really get a chance to weigh in, though. Not that I'm complaining, of course. The vanilla ice cream looks delicious. And Jenna's sandwich she offered to split doesn't look too bad either. She sets it gingerly on my plate. Flynn glares at his pink lemonade, as if it had just insulted him.
Fucking hell.
He glances over at Carl, who seems to be working up the energy to sit upright, enough to eat his food.
This looks like you're pissed after too many energy drinks.
I was once. Carl speaks up in a sniffly voice. The lizard looks like he's about to take a tentative drink right when his phone goes off. He quickly snatches it up.
Hello? Mark.
He leans forward, resting his elbows on the tabletop.
Yeah, hi. I left a message earlier. Have you heard anything from my aunt?
He frowns suddenly.
Huh? Okay. Why? All right.
The lizard takes Carl by the shoulders and straightens him out, the bleary-eyed ram blinking some as Flynn tries to stand and scoot past him.
I'll be right back.
Flynn, after accidentally hip-bumping Micah in the face a half-dozen times, manages to exit the booth. He heads out toward the parking lot. Ordinarily, I get the impression this would annoy the shit out of the bat, but he's too excited for his plate of food to complain. He dives into the bacon first, shoving it all in his mouth as a whole wad. Even Leo raises his eyebrows a bit. Don't joke. I think Micah mumbles an expletive at him. The hungry guy is already moving on to his jam and toast by the time I bite into my sandwich. We eat in silence for the most part, though it's not exactly awkward. I think we're just mainly content to have each other's company after everything we've been through. Can't fathom being alone with my thoughts after all this. Though in the quiet, I do get to thinking about that voice that spoke to me by the van. It seems like a distant memory now, but it was so clear. We've been together for some time. I'm with you. You are indecisive by nature. I choose. Those words stick out to me the most. Glancing around at my friends, I decide to try something. I let the ambient noise of the diner fade out, focusing on trying to remember that voice, the one I've heard before. I close my eyes, emptying my mind of worries and other thoughts. I wait. Jenna nudges my shoulder, a French fry poking out of the corner of her mouth. You falling asleep on me, Chase? I refocus, managing a reassuring smile. Oh, no, I'm just taking a moment. Oh. She nods, as if this made perfect sense, no clarification needed. You holding up all right, though? You know, I think I'm okay, actually. Really? Her tone is skeptical, though in a sort of jokey way. Yeah. Really. She finishes the rest of her fries, wiping her paws off with a napkin before something catches her attention across the room. Oh, would you look at that? A jukebox. I follow her gaze, spotting it by the door to the bathroom. It's pretty retro. It even has those plastic neon-filled tubes that flash when it's turned on. You don't see many of those these days, or jukeboxes in general. I think maybe most folks saw them as more of a nuisance than a mood setter. Come on, let's take a look. Okay. I'm not sure why this is so interesting to her. After scooting out, she offers me her shoulder, her tail swishing gently behind her. I offer her a little nod of thanks, using it to help myself stand. Leo looks up at me from his plate of chicken and waffles. We meet each other's gaze for a few seconds, and he smiles. All right, easy now. The EMTs already gave my leg a proper dressing after we got to the police station. Hell, they tried to get Leo and I to go with them to the hospital. Yet, of course, the last thing Leo wanted was for us to get all split up again. I actually agreed with him this time. Plus, I've heard horror stories about ambulance bills. I relinquish my leaning on Jenna, and we walk, I hobble, toward the jukebox. The music selection is pretty dated for the most part, though there's some modern dance hits thrown in there, surprisingly enough. They're scribbled on with permanent marker on sticky note labels. Jenna makes a show of inspecting the options, though she speaks up toward me. Hey. Hello? She lets out a little laugh, then sighs. Sorry, just I haven't gotten a moment to speak alone with you for some time. Something on your mind? She nods. A lot, actually. There's a considerable amount of things we've seen, that we've experienced, that will never make plausible sense to anyone but us. Jenna gestures discreetly toward the rest of the group at the booth. I notice that Flynn is still not back. It does sort of put everything into perspective, I guess. Yeah. And part of me wonders whether I made the right decision. The musing comes as some surprise. Jenna never one to really doubt her choices, or at least make such doubt known. What do you mean? Well, From what I figured, from both your historical research and what Micah has said, this hysteria is cyclical. It always comes back and ends up hurting whoever is around it. Now, I don't know whether it's gases seeping through the ground, weird radio signals, or something in the water. I'm not sure anyone ever will. But what Heather wanted to do, flooding the town, that would certainly put a stopper on anyone trying to live there again. I don't think anyone is going to be wanting to stick around there for a long time after this. Jenna's gaze shifts to the tile floor beneath our feet. Yeah. For a long time. She repeats. I try to think of what to say next. In the background, I can hear Micah saying something crude about the origins of syrup. I glance back and see Leo chuckling, and TJ covering his face. Carl stares out the window. I don't know if you can really fight forces of nature. Whatever is going on, it feels much bigger than us. But what you can do is help people, yes? And that counts for something. What you did for Heather, despite everything she did to you, that counts. Second chances and all that. Jenna smiles. Chase, that's very nice of you to say. Very sappy, of course, but still sweet. I'm not quite sure I can fully see it that way, at least not yet. Her tail swacks me a little, and after a brief moment of nearly teetering over, I thwack back. I think we all turned out okay, noting the circumstances. Echoes, this tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and the shitty situations brought us together in the end. And don't regret that. She taps her fingertips against the glass of the jukebox, looking elsewhere. I wonder what it would be like if Sydney were still here. The question catches me off guard. As far as I know, Jenna never really liked the kid back in the day. Still, I guess he was part of our group. Hence the thought? Maybe? I don't know. I don't really want to think about it, to be honest. Maybe he'd have helped Leo beat the shit out of Brian. I blink at her, the words sounding strange coming from her mouth. She looks at me, furrowing her brow. What? He was really into the wrestling stuff. I cross my arms over my chest. I guess. There's a long silence. I had a dream about him early on in the week. And once everything started, hitting the proverbial fan, I remember hearing these strange voices. She doesn't elaborate on that specific thought further, shifting focus to me. I didn't make anything of them at the time. But, noting everything that happened later, she stops for a moment. If you want to talk to me about what happened sometime, just let me know, okay? I try to read her expression, the offer seemingly sincere. I don't see any sign of judgment or scrutinizing intent in her words. As usual around her, I find myself not quite sure what to say. Whatever happened to you claiming you're not a therapist? I'm not. I'm your friend. And I wanted to stay that way for a long time. Despite my wariness at that original question, I can't help but feel a little fuzzy from that statement. So, just a friend, huh? Now it's Jenna's turn to be caught off guard, but the surprised look in her turquoise eyes lasts only a second. Oh, perhaps you got the wrong impression this past week. Look at her and feel my heart starting to sink. I do mean, my mind was under the effects of a town-wide sweeping of hysteria after all. I can't be held accountable for my actions. However, she sucks in her lip, staring at the ceiling as if in thought. If you wanted to take me on a proper date when we get back to Pueblo, I wouldn't be opposed. I feel myself slowly starting to grin and have to quickly reshift my face into a less creepy expression. Oh, okay. Not opposed, huh? She lets out a humored exhale, shaking her head. To speak candidly, me teasing and flirting with you around Leo, that's not really me. Or at least, that's not how I want to be. I should be better than that. Otherwise, I'm no better than Flynn at the river, plucking at raw nerves. I'll admit I was kind of worried that you were just doing all that to be competitive with Leo, like I was some kind of game. Jenna nods. Oh, that's completely true. What? I was, to at least some extent. Hence the offer for something a little less biased. I look at her, a little gobsmacked. But at the same time, I can't help but feel appreciative of the honesty. I guess I'll, consider your offer. She smiles, and for some reason, she kind of reminds me of those old femme fatale types from old newer movies. In the meantime, I'm definitely going to start writing about our experiences here in Echo, specifically our most recent ones. How it augmented the perceptions of people, sometimes even in groups. It's almost downright paranormal. Almost? Nothing's actually paranormal. I'm certain there's actual inputs and variables which determine certain triggers that result in what we saw. On a personal note, I'm just happy none of the effects seemed to linger once we left the town. No tulpa vision of you hanging around Leo, no monster chasing TJ, no red figure following me, no visions of Keith for Micah or Heather. And you, well, how's that possession by the roadside ghost working out for you? I rub my head, feeling the welt from Brian's pistol whipping peeking out of my fur. I'm pretty sure he's gone. Oh, who says you can't run away from your traumas, then? She winks and I find myself smiling a little goofily. This is all so insane, but I sure am glad she's here to talk me through it. Now, Chase Hunter, the true question. She turns to face the jukebox. What should we pick? You know what? I don't know. How about you choose? Jenna gives me a quick nod. Whatever you say. Oh, here. This one looks good. She leans in and presses a button on the machine. Wow. That's truly an amazing end right there. And a real positive end, too. Everyone came out in the end. Sorry, I didn't set that up. I swear I didn't set that up on purpose. But what an awesome story. And, oh, they said it. They said Micah wasn't that bad of a guy, and I said that earlier. I knew it. He's a cool dude. I'm really hoping this song is not copyrighted too. But on a side note. But damn, Jenna's route is freaking awesome. She's got a good one. And I like the way that they're getting together, Chase and Jenna. They're all fighting their demons. Jenna literally has a demon following her. Although I think in Flynn's route we find out exactly what that is. So, looking forward to doing that. And she had a good redemption. Jenna herself had a pretty good redemption. I guess. I think I've got the wrong word. She made up with Heather. Yeah. She, I don't know if forgave Heather, but she saved Heather from getting murdered by the creature. That's for damn sure. Or Flynn. I think if you choose something else, Flynn or the creature takes out Heather. I've heard that. But, I really like this ending. So, yeah. I really like the way the creature shows up. Everyone sees it. And they're like, holy crap. What the fuck is that? It really is a really cool thing. Yeah. An amazing story. Awesome characters. Fucking love Micah. It's an awesome little bat. He knows how to do humor too. I love that. He's talking about getting you this nice cake, right? Just awesome cake. And then he says, I can also get you heroin. And Jenna's like, Micah, for fuck's sake. And Micah just laughs and says, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And you think he's probably going to say, I can't get you heroin. Although he probably can. He says, the cake place closed years ago. I was like, oh. So he means just heroin. Great. Thanks, guy. I like that bat. Probably the best. Well, I don't know. Best side character? Maybe I need to do that. I need to do a tier list video of like side characters or just characters in Echo in general. Plus, I love just in every single route, you get a little bit more of Duke. And that's when you learned about Brian. Is he a dad? Is he a fucking dad? Is Brian a dad? God. I mean, he's gay. I don't think he's a dad. I mean, he's just simple. He's definitely simple. And evil. But anyways. Yeah, I love these characters. This is an awesome, incredible visual novel. I'm glad it's my first one to do on the channel. Taking up a lot of time. Lots of videos. So that's going to do it. I have so much more I could say, but actually, no, I will say more. Flynn and Carl maybe setting up for a relationship. TJ and Flynn actually seem to be getting along a little better. And that soft side of Flynn is his tough exterior finally cracking. Letting everyone see. That's one thing in this route I really liked, because Flynn's always such a badass on the outside. He really puts out that front. That he's just a tough badass. And he really is kind of a badass, in a way. But getting to see the softer guy, I really like that. I really like that part about him. He can just let that come through. Leo seems to be getting better. Oh, and we figured out. Oh, this is especially great. We got to find out what exactly Duke saw and what it is. And Leo had this huge growing up moment. He came to admit how he created the tulpa. He came to admit that he'd been wrong. He'd just been obsessed with Chase. And that obsession mixed with all the weird shit in Echo, the magic in Echo, and created this tulpa. We got to see it move. It was freaky as fuck. Goddamn. Arl, taught by Brian, just trained. Poor guy. Actually tortured for days. Yikes. I don't know what happened. We don't know what happened to Clint and Jeremy in this route. For all we know, they went to help Heather, and she shot them too. We have no idea. Yeah. Come to think of it. Don't know. Don't really know what happened to Heather either, but I'm very sure she got tried for murder. Or she's just been deemed insane and been tossed into a loony bin. I call it a loony bin. She's probably just declared insane and put into a mental hospital, I guess. But yeah, that, I think, will do it. Thanks so much for listening, for watching, going on this journey with me, everyone. I look forward to seeing everyone in the next route. I hope to see you there. And until then, bye.